So today, the first episode of what I hope will be many in CoLab is a conversation with Mylo Elliott, a graffiti fine artist and music maker, and we touch upon issues of language, how to use art to communicate where words don't quite fit in. We look at art as healing and about the importance of being given spaces to develop and grow confidence about not just the end product of art making, but about the process itself. And we also touch upon an issue that I will have to get better over as I interview other people, and that is about the differences in understanding the words we use when we talk to each other. So we might be, and I hope you notice it where it actually happens, where I use a word and Mylo understands it in a different way, and that creates a different dynamic that I hope leads somewhere and that you find valuable. So thank you, and on to the Zoom call recording interview thing.
Um, the collaborations I've been working on very much have been about uh, finding the a space for yourself um, with other people. Um, I've been working on uh, painted pieces. I've been creating skateboard art, um, and I think most of what I wanted to do has been since leaving university 3 years ago. Everything has been in collaboration. I do work by myself on certain projects. Um, as an artist, I think there's obviously so many different ways to collaborate with people, like because people have these unique um, ways of working. So um, it becomes probably a process. Like one of the reasons, like you get at, you know other people, working with people, and that's exciting. I think collaboration leads to more collaboration, and
Oh, that's a definite that I've also found in my own practice, more recently with the work I've been doing, which I'll be honest. And this is a question I would like to ask you because
yeah,
uh, more so because of the pandemic conditions so isolating us. I find that while artists like us like to just be in our own heads and talk about what we like, it can be a very isolating exercise. And I wonder if collaboration for you is a way to fight against that self isolation that just happens from being a human unable to
yeah.
truly communicate with other people, or is it more of a I don't know how to say this, like a necessity of some description, be economic or personal?
Um, I think like maintaining friendships and people's good health is maybe for a lot of people would come first. But I think like within the way that we work, the conditions that we work under do allow us to look at those other, you know, the to gain a broader understanding of like how things work.
Mm-hmm.
So I would try both. I would, yeah, and can be slow in coming, but you just gotta kind of put yourself in a good position.
Actually, let's have a different question. Is what barriers have you personally experienced in the
Yeah.
arts, and how tell me about that.
Okay.
Like, what do you think?
Oh, well, in the arts, I found that um, just being aware of like possibilities, like people, organizations, um, a lot of people in the same sort of area with their creativity and what they want to do with it. Um, barriers like being experienced, kind of they as you go, you make more progress. Start to identify like whether you could maybe work without funding, um, being efficient in yourself and creating a model that other people can follow, like we sharing.
What do you mean by model that other people can follow?
I suppose in my experience, I've had the opportunity um, to work uh, in masters, listening to what other people um, create. Uh, like
Don't worry, Madhav.
some
Um,
no,
let's have a feel for the conversation. I think I'm putting you on the spot, aren't I?
it feels like it about exactly halfway through. I'm saying what I'm about to say. It kind of goes, what? Like,
Yeah, but I think
I,
yeah, you go.
yeah, I don't mind. Like, I have to remind myself like that. Not all of what I'm saying is a statement. There's like,
Don't worry, there's I don't have a cop under the desk listening.
ha, it was me. Ah, I.
But that point, like,
Would you?
sorry, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, would you be interested in reading my notes?
I
Would
think
that
I've
help?
read them, but you just said something like something between halfway what you want to say,
Yeah,
and I know I've read your writing about language and your experience of language, and I think it's very enlightening about your ideas of how language works and about art as a language,
yeah,
as a maybe as a bridge between you can only get so far with your own words, and then you have to
yeah,
bring in all of these skills and creativity that you have.
yeah.
So is
That's
that
true. That's like, yeah, it is like, I think this kind of like why I turned down PhD was just because I'm under pressure or having to do like so much, like just kind of fold a little bit.
do you think that if there's this external pressure to perform to certain standards, your work suffers, or
Yeah, I think that's true.
yeah, so it's that route is just not for you. You're more of a
Yeah,
do what feels right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I,
See, talking about university, the longer I've been outside of higher education, the more I think that there's a value to having a space like a university where you have a place to you can work and all of these ideas floating about. And I know that you've described your current studio space as a working and listening room. And tell me, how important is having a space, mental and physical, to help you as an artist and as a person to better communicate?
Um, having space just allows you like a little bit of creative time, like every day, be it listening or writing. Um, if I didn't have this space, I probably would be less confident in my abilities to keep a practice going. Have more of a creative state of mind that, and it's about it's about making moves and feeling confident about um, confident about the steps that you're taking.
Mm.
Um,
So is it more about the way you're describing confidence? It's not so much about I'm confident in the end product, but more I'm confident that the steps to make that are mine, or like what do you mean?
um, the yeah, it's uh, can I tell you something?
Yeah, trying to
Um,
connect a little bit with you.
yeah, reconnecting. Yeah, um, and I've been writing um, as well. I suppose like it's writing is easier than answering questions because you're kind of self-directed in what you're doing. Like the task makes sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know. I'd really like to help people um, gain from my experience in in uh, the way that we take opportunities and learn and grow. Like barriers are there uh, to be understood, I guess.
Mm.
They help at signpost.
See, I think when you describe barriers, I like that phrase of you need to understand them. But do you mean that barriers as a sort of the way Stravinsky used to define his creative process? That when you limit yourself in options, you can be more creative. Is that how you?
I I know. Yeah, there's like having like quite a big world to walk out into. Yeah, just to be aware of like so many things, like so many uh, notes on the piano. Like
Mm.
you don't play all the notes at one time.
Otherwise, it's overwhelming noise,
Yeah,
which is a genre of music some people like.
yeah,
I mean, I cannot get into it, but I really do feel you because I've I've done this myself when especially when I go to on site. I do drawing on site in places. I take all of the utensils
uh,
and it's like, what do I do? I spend 10 minutes just going like, is it ink? Is it pencil? Is it charcoal? But there is a value to saying like no marker, just this one thing at a time. So
yeah. Definitely. If you can work out like a loose structure like in a painting and go by that structure, um, you're halfway there. Um,
Yeah.
in
It is
this,
figuring out that process, isn't it? That takes
yeah,
sometimes takes the longest. It's just gonna the palette, the exact motions of your hand on the page. That's what takes time to build.
yeah, that's something that um, you'll maybe understand. Uh, yeah, those steps. Uh, I found that it kind of came more naturally as you gain more confidence. Um, so I would allow time to pass. Um, I th- there's always like notes and ideas flying around and everything, and to settle on one thing that makes you content, um, or something like I don't know, statements or yeah,
See, I think you mentioned to me before that your work has been about healing lately, hasn't it?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and well, we need time to heal out of any trauma or effect. So, how are you finding that relationship of your art making and healing?
Um, I continue to um, feel like a connection between myself, my art, and people that are seeing my art. That connectivity between people makes art much more interesting. I think it makes it a current thing, like a contemporary scene.
Mm.
Like um, which um, it all uh, makes things easier. Like I would say, being an artist has always been like a form of um, a form that can be like a guide, like an accompaniment to life.
Mm.
Thinking of just developing identity and um, using what I've got, my personal skills, and letting things develop, like this relationship between art and um, the exchange with other artists. I think that's important.
Yeah, I find that that relationship of using art as a means to develop communities or as
Yeah,
an art scene specifically is powerful, and it's sometimes we cannot get over issues or heal on our own, and I
yeah,
find that having that I don't know non-verbal way of expressing yourself and that moment of connection, that somebody goes, oh, that's what I feel when they see your work.
yeah,
It's just powerful, which I'm sort of personally sad at one level where my work has become very commercial and very
yeah,
commodified, and I don't know, the Maybe there's something lacking in there for me.
maybe maybe there's like I wouldn't say ways to go about changing things. Um, like I don't know, you don't want to do too much work either. Don't want to.
Yeah,
You don't want to do too much.
but
If you're doing stuff that's earning you money, that's massive thing. Um,
it can easily lead to burnout, can't it? Or just like you want to do the things that make money, and then you want to do the things that are personal, and when you realize that you've been working for 20 hours,
yeah,
and then you're just a shell of a human that can only be filled with rage and sadness.
it's sad.
Trying to bring it back a bit to that, to collaboration, because I have seen something that I'm extremely amazed and respecting you is that I don't see you for 5 months, and then when we do touch base, you've come up with an amazing project, or you've done something, an incredible collaboration with somebody else who, if you look at it from the outside, it's like, how did those two things go together? How did Mylo find this guy? And I
Yeah.
recently saw your work on skateboards at the local market, and it was this moment of, wait a minute, I know that style.
Uh,
And
it's,
yeah, there you go. You are now selling your art on skateboards.
yeah. Uh, that's nice. Um, yeah.
So tell me, why skate?
Something
Yeah,
why skateboards?
why skateboards?
It's a commission.
Ah,
Yeah, my cousin said to me, "Why don't you paint skateboards?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah." So,
as simple as that, right?
very, yeah,
I was expecting
yeah.
a story like you ran out of boards to paint on, and then you found the skateboard in the bin or something.
Huh. No, I mean, like we've been getting skateboards from China for like £3.50 each. Uh, yeah, um, it's quite a big project. I've got a lot of work on at the moment doing that, um, and things like this as well, like being consulted, and um, that's all for the good. It's like I don't know. It's good to be aware of it's good to be aware of what people are doing themselves, like for
Mm.
talking to other people, networking.
With the skateboards, because you call it a project. Somebody else might describe it as a business.
Yeah,
Uh, and with the idea that you said about being given the opportunities to build the confidence in what you're doing,
yeah,
is that helping? Like, is it an art project first,
yeah.
or is it a business first? And how is it helping you with your confidence?
To me, it's about creating, um, having a visual identity that other people can see as a like a brand. Uh, so I'm inexperienced in business, but it kind of seems like a necessity to learn as we go along. Um, the painting itself it's all about the painting, like creative process is Uh, I don't know whether like I don't want to compare them by saying one's better than the other.
No, I don't
It's
think I
kind of
mean that one is better than the other, but like I find that the word you put in front of the other word can make sense, even though what I just said made no sense to somebody who hasn't read that specific book I'm trying to quote. But you know, the idea of an art project, which can be
yeah,
very personal, becoming a commercial thing to sell. But to me, it sounds that
yeah,
to you is a very positive because it's a project that's dear to your heart, and now people are using your artwork for maybe self-actualization in the way that you describe in relationships to brands as an identity building tool. And
yeah.
sounds to me that it's helping you see like, hey, people like what I do.
It is, and that's a constant thing. It's like it seems to be like I've um, I've learned maybe from a young age that like I can do things that make people interested in maybe starting a conversation or it's like giving props. Uh, but it is it's thumbs up effect.
It is a thumbs up
Um,
fact. Those skateboards are, which because this might be a podcast that people are listening to. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a challenge. Can you
okay,
describe your artwork for people listening?
okay. Um, Straight away, I I'm thinking about um, talking to people when other people are present and how because of my disability, um, I found that it's getting easier. Um, so like I think I've kind of gone off track a bit.
That
Yeah.
skateboard is going away.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I just wanted to say like it my about talking to people when other people are there and everything, how it makes a difference. Like just trying to use like verbal skills, like when they don't seem to be connections, like connection with painting and boards is graffiti, graffiti test, and the formula for each board is quite individual and unique. Um, and that's through uh, working in over a period of time just to develop a sort of graffiti. Uh, what do you call it? Repertoire or or an ability to generate things through the words I use.
Yeah,
So I
but
got like art, uh, image and text, really, for an artist. That's what I love.
yeah, but
I think.
I love it. But you still haven't described like, okay, you're talking to somebody who, well, I'll say a blind person. You're trying to describe one of these
Yeah.
boards to them.
Okay. That could be difficult. I another story about blind people.
Are you trying to get away from answering the question? It's like, I don't want to answer this, so let me tell you another story again. Which is fair. I mean, I could be asking you a stupid question.
I just had like quite a spiritual meeting with a blind person. But that's another story. Okay. My boards are quite simple to look at. Maybe incorporating a few different elements from my practice. One of those is graffiti handwriting, and then we've got illustrative elements, like I like drawing people and incorporating those into symbols. Quite often use limited color palettes.
And
What is it?
That's it. It's a limit. Come on. Are you finding it like, oh no, how do I describe this art? how do I describe what I do?
It's taking art from the street. It's a bit of a cliche, but, or it's, maybe I've said it so many times that it's becoming a cliche.
Maybe.
In essence, like, yeah, it seems important to enjoy the process. So I was working with like colors that make sense together, like you look at the sun or near the sun, and it's like depicted as orange, and orange is on the skateboard as a depiction of the sun. It's nice to connect with people on that sort of
like a shared interest.
Individuality, yeah.
It is. It's, see, my work forces me to be very alone all the time. Like, if you imagine this is my world, just this, well, rectangle shape of the Zoom call.
Yeah.
And it's allowing ourselves to build those communities with somebody else. It might go someplace because, this is a question I actually have for you personally, because do you find that to build those collaborations that work, that you really need to work on them, like that relationship first?
Yeah.
Like, it's a nurturing process over time with somebody until, the idea comes through, and then the execution happens, and then the process flows, one will hope.
Yeah. Does so. Is there a question?
I don't know. Is there a question? I think there was a question, but I didn't ask it the right way. So, yeah, I think it's just like the experience that you've had collaborating.
Yeah.
How it's not something that happens like this, is it? You have to develop over time, conversations and back and forth. You're playing tennis with somebody, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good way. I mean, yeah, a tennis ball.
You hit it back, and then maybe you hit it too hard, and it went off the court. And okay, gotta start again. Yeah. What are we doing? I don't know if that's a good metaphor. Maybe it's a terrible metaphor.
Tennis. They say love a lot in tennis. Something I've written about, like, or made notes. It's like literacy and literacy and coherency.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, it's not all statements. I think.
Hmm. What do you
Yeah,
mean by statement? Like the concept of a statement in general, or like an art statement?
an art statement.
Those convoluted paragraphs. It's like, oh, that makes sense, and then you look away and go, what? What did I read?
Yeah, it is word convolution. What's that mean?
Convoluted. The way I speak, basically the
Right.
very complicated, unnecessary words.
Yeah.
See, that's an interesting conversation about comprehension. Like, okay, convoluted is something that's complicated for no reason.
Whereas we take it on for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna deliberately write in this highly academic, highly not disruptive, exclusive language, and it's convoluted. It's trying to say something very simple, but in the as many words as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in what you said, like what your notes are about comprehension.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's like saying words generate more words. Like words kind of they go together with other words. And, um, it's like I don't know. I don't know what when words aren't coming easily. That's like it becomes like a personal thing that I've never had before. So like practicalities, like do need to be able to speak. Um, Coherently is something easier on paper, a lot easier. And literacy as well, like having like a good understanding of what you're talking about. Um, that's kind of easier as well. But I don't know, like this, the start of my notes, it's talking about the availability as an artist, like to turn up and talk to people and things. I don't know if you remember first meeting that we had, Howard Gardens.
That was during that first collaboration project, wasn't it?
It was a collaboration, yeah.
Well, enforced collaboration, we must say.
It was, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, it was. Um, yeah.
Yeah, because that I remember that project distinctly as a bit of a failure in collaboration because they sort of like grab a whole bunch of people and put them in a group and said do something themed around the city. And if I'm frank, we didn't do that well. We didn't. Our idea was bad in execution,
Yeah,
but to me at least it started a way of thinking that I still follow through, at least with my photography, where I just go out to the city, get lost, and generate all of this work.
yeah.
So maybe it wasn't good collaboration, but it was a good place to start thinking about it.
Yeah,
And we're still talking all these years later, so.
yeah. Yeah, we're talking. I'm glad. The last time we spoke to you, you were running or something in the park.
I was in the park somewhere and I saw you. But that's a good point. Being given the opportunity to talk to other people, I think that's
Yeah,
very important. And the places can be anywhere, and you never know where those conversations will eventually lead to. But
yeah,
having that opportunity and platform and space to be able to interact with different people is invaluable.
yeah. And that's a good point. Where you get more confident of a product and a dialogue.
Dialogue. That's what this is all about. We have to continue the dialogues, start new ones, and
Yeah,
I've had fun. This
yeah,
conversation has been fun, and I'm gonna keep it short because short and full of delicious gooey bits like liver inside a duck. Give me a bit of a promo thing. Where can
promo.
people find you? Where can they buy your things?
Very shortly, I'm going to be online at yeah. Maybe I could. I'm not. I'm not going
I'll
to.
put it on the screen someplace.
Yeah. Shall I?
Yeah, just do this, and I'll put
Yeah.
it between your hands in the video. Yeah, it's there. I hope you found that interesting, or at the very least useful, or it sparked some thoughts in you. And I apologize for the abrupt ending. We're still trying to, well, I am still trying to figure out how to do this and how to end such interviews in a nice way. I actually had to cut it because the video goes on for about 5 minutes, it's just nothing. So yeah, if you liked it, just do the drill, comment, like whatever you found this, and do tell me how to improve. Do recommend people I could talk to. Perhaps this is a primarily conversations happening in Wales, but I want to look at international collaboration in all its forms and shapes through the arts and other people. So thank you for engaging, I guess.